Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome inside Garage Door Sports, your no-holds-barred weekly discussion on everything in the sporting world. For all your news on hockey, baseball, basketball, football, soccer, and more, you've come to the right place. And now it's time for your hosts, Nick McVicker, Kyle Vardy, and Irfan Manji. That's right, folks. We are back. Another week brings another episode your way. Nick McVicker, joined through the Garage Door Sports Cup phone by my two amazing co-hosts, Kyle Vardy and Irfan Manji. Kyle, how are you doing today?
I'm tired, but I'm happy to be talking sports. So,
that's a different answer from last week. You had a good answer last week, so
yeah, I thought I'd go back to the normal.
Okay, go back to the recording. Okay,
exactly.
Yeah, we don't
And
like
Irfan,
to
how are you
change too
doing?
much. Good, chilling. Back in Ottawa for a little bit, so we'll go from there.
Nice.
It's
How
like
was
a
the
change
drive
in
out
scenery.
there,
Clear as day. It was like 1 degree the whole way, and it was just a very smooth drive. It took a while because there's traffic, because trucks suck. But,
Damn trucks.
but hey, you need your Amazon packages delivered. What are we gonna do?
Well,
Because
everyone
you can't go out and get them yourself.
No, exactly.
Most places
Although-
don't let you go out and actually get things themselves. You have to sit
Although
on the side.
Ottawa's up and running, eh? Like we apparently there's like 3 movie theaters opening today, and I'm like, you guys are ridiculous. Like, why? So Ottawa's in its own little orange bubble of life.
So I hate to break the burst the bubble, but we're going back into another lockdown in April. It's already
We are,
guaranteed.
but what I've understood from everyone in Ottawa is like Toronto's the problem and not Ottawa. And I'm like, guys,
I believe that's
everything's a problem.
that's the definition across the province, is that everyone thinks Toronto's the problem.
Wasn't Ottawa like the highest
Percentage.
at a certain point?
I think so. Like, I think people are forgetting that population sizes are different, and so they're comparing numbers like that. They're like, oh,
They're
we have
comparing total
50.
numbers, yeah.
Yeah, they're 50 to 150. It's like, okay, but compare how many the people live in your city and then do an incident rate. Anyway, that's stats, and people are dumb, and I refuse to argue with them.
Well, we're a sports show here. We live on stats, Irfan. Come on.
I meant like health stats. I'm not going to argue with health sciences people on this.
Politics. We'll just
Politics.
Or maybe we should just we have something on politics and sports, don't we, boys?
Wow, way to ruin the show already, giving it away. Well, we do have a lot to talk about. A little bit of soccer, a little bit of hockey coming your way, folks. Let's jump right into the kickoff segment, sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. Calling all kickers and punters in the Southern Ontario region. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. The Ferraro brothers, Daniel and Gabe, are both University of Guelph alumni, and after illustrious university careers, they want to teach you everything they've learned over the years. If you want to take your special teams game to the next level, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. And boys, let's start in the NHL this week. Let's start last weekend. Lake Tahoe, beautiful scenery, beautiful event. The sun didn't really want to play its part in the event. I ended up pushing the Saturday game to midnight on the East Coast, 9:00 local time, which is not that bad, but midnight here. I thought they actually handled the whole situation really well. I mean, there was supposed to be cloud coverage. That's what weather was saying, so they were going to be okay. Clouds didn't cover. They dealt with it. I don't know about you, Kyle, but I thought it was actually handled the right way.
Yeah, it was handled the right way, but like, whose bright idea was it to have a sunny day? Not even sunny day, but just where they were, Lake Tahoe. Like, people were on boats, like 150 feet away from them, and it was like, it's one of those, like, you really didn't expect the ice to be, not great condition when there's boats floating in the water beside you. It's one of those things where the idea is great and it's the execution ended up being bad, but they recovered well with pushing it back to midnight and then having the second game later on in the evening as well. So to the way they handled it. It was great. It looked beautiful. It looked great. The quality of games were actually pretty good as well. So that definitely benefits compared to some of the other outdoor games where it may not be exactly the greatest game. But overall it was a good weekend.
Yeah, I agree. And I think the biggest thing was that the sun was only melting the parts of the ice that were over like paint underneath, right? So like the blue line, the red lines, the logo in the middle, that was the only part that was actually affected. The rest of the ice was fine. It was just because those parts were absorbing more sunlight. Irfan, what were your thoughts on the Tahoe games?
Like every outdoor game, I think we'll run into that issue with the sun and the weather. But I think, like you guys said, I really liked how they handled it. I really enjoyed the late night game. It looked so cool with the trees around and the water very calm. And it was good hockey. Like it was against two teams in both the games, so 4 teams in total that are playoff bound teams. I think, in our opinions, they're 4 very good teams. They're complete teams, and it was really fun to watch Vegas and Colorado go at it. And I hope that's a playoff matchup soon because that was fun. I really did enjoy that game, and obviously the scenery, like I said, helped. It was great, beautiful.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to think that McKinnon goal is only his 4th of the year. I feel like he's been playing so well that we just assume he's putting goals in. He's getting a lot of assists this year, which is great. But it was you guys were right. The games were well played games. I think Boston took control of the second game, but that Colorado Vegas one was tight from start to finish. Like there was no point where either team really controlled a big portion of the game. It was like a couple minutes here, a couple minutes there, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, sort of thing. There wasn't one team dominating most of the game and then the other team just got a couple lucky goals. It was good hockey.
Yeah.
Under interesting circumstances. The scenery was incredible both days. Like even you go from the daytime in period 1 of the first game to the night view, just incredible scenes there. And then the night as the sun was setting on the second day, just beautiful. I loved it. I think
they should do that for the future, is play later games in like cities like or areas like Lake Tahoe and just have at it, because it was the most watched game, one of the 2 games. I think it was the Boston Flyers game, but like it comes down to location, and I think that helps a lot.
Well, and so Justin and I were talking off the podcast. And we think that obviously they should choose different places, but they should choose like remote areas of the world, and just like have a game, just like straight up have a game in like, bizarre areas and advertise them and show them on TV, right? Yes, like the whole no fans thing, it's going to continue for a little while. So like at a certain point, why not have like games all over the place and just have them in different countries, different areas? Like obviously have them being able to permit a rink and like support it. But
yeah, of course.
But like that could be a great thing, just going all over the world and just playing different hockey games. So
well, we talked about it on 20 Minutes on Ice, me and Ryan, and I said like they talked about Lake Louise. Like Lake Louise was supposed to be the original location of this game. Like that's where they wanted to go. They couldn't go for some reason. I don't know why exactly. So can't remember off the top of my head.
No.
They're gonna go there now. After the success of this game, now weather played a factor, but it was still a success, I think, for many reasons. They got people there. Imagine a normal year, right, where fans would be technically permitted. Don't worry about the fans. Go to Lake Louise. Do it on the slopes, right? And just make the entire weekend an event at the Lake Louise ski hills, right? Because then you sell so much merchandise. The merchandise sales alone will cover the amount of fans that you would get into putting up temporary stands. So don't worry about them. They're going to come around anyway. Like people see a rink, they're going to come and watch. So it's not like you're going to lose that much. You're just going to get so much sales from other things, right? So do it. Enjoy the no fans aspect of it and just have fun with it. There's no need to have fans at these kind of locations. So yeah, go to weird places, like go up to Nunavut, maybe, right? On Baffin Island. That would be sick.
100%.
Go to Alaska. Have a game up in Alaska, right?
Yeah, once we can travel between Canada and the U.S., yeah, absolutely. I think that's why Lake Louise was the issue.
Even you just used U.S. teams to go to Alaska.
Yeah, you use U.S. teams to Alaska, Canadian teams on Baffin Island. Like,
sick,
have fun with it.
I toss Whistler in there too, like the ski slope when you mentioned that.
Oh, yeah.
Great image. I think it'd be beautiful.
Oh yeah. It's a great idea, and I think if they can utilize this concept of, okay, we don't have to worry about packing fans into the big house, right? Like that was the big thing for all these outdoor games before, is that they had to find a stadium that could hold enough fans to make it worth the money.
100%.
Well, you just put on one with no fans.
Arguably one of your more successful ones as well.
Exactly. Like, why? Don't worry about the fans necessarily, because the fans are going to watch one way or another. They will find a way to watch the game,
Mm-hmm.
but turn it into an event with wherever you're going. If you're going to Lake Louise at the ski hill, turn it into an event with the ski hill. Have concerts in the village, right?
Yeah.
That people have to pay to go to. And then just make it a absolute sales rally, basically, of merchandise and food, and just get all of the
make
profit
it like
there.
a state fair type thing. Where it's just like
Exactly.
everything you could possibly have is
Have
in that
fun with
area.
it. Yeah, exactly. So I think that would be the way to go for these outdoor games, and don't have 8 a year.
Yeah, honestly, we can only hope that they do, change their way that they're doing it right now. But
Go one or two at most. There's no need for
100%.
8. All right, let's jump onto some more NHL news, because it actually was a pretty busy week this week. Let's start in the North Division, and Claude Julien, while the Canadiens have been doing, I would say, decently well this year, not great, not horrible, gets fired. Kind of came out of left field for me, Kyle. I don't know what your opinion is on this, but was this a surprise?
The firing, sure, I guess it wasn't really something that was expected, I guess, but with how they've been struggling recently, I think it was one of those they had to change their voice in the locker room or whatever it may be. So especially because like this is the year where they actually have a true chance to compete, right? With all the divisions changing and all that kind of stuff, like this is the year for them to do it, because the North Division doesn't have the strongest goaltending, right? So if you can keep the pucks out of your net, then you have a great chance to win on any given night. Is the biggest thing. And Montreal has not had the greatest time of keeping pucks out of the net, let alone their scoring kind of dried up a little bit comparatively. So I think the biggest thing for this is he's been in and out for so long with that team. I think they just needed a fresh face and a fresh start, and maybe maybe a younger face and younger start to try and put a jolt into this team. So I think it surprises me, but it doesn't at the same time.
That's fair. I think, as you said, like the timing of the firing kind of just is a little odd, but at the same time, it's Claude Julien. He gets fired and hired by the Montreal Canadiens every other year almost. Irfan, what did you make of it?
Caught me off guard 100%. I mean, we've seen Montreal the last 5 seasons start off strong. Like they've been lights out. Like they always, at one point they were like 8-1-2, or sorry, that doesn't add up to 10. 8-1-1 or 9-0-2. Like they just start off hot every year for the last 5 years, and then they sort of falter. So I'm surprised that Marc Bergevin sort of made this firing, because 2 things. He's on the hot seat now, so I think he would be the next guy to go. And another thing, it's just, your team starts hot but sort of tapers down. So why not just give it a chance to sort of feel out the season? I mean, this is the same guy that this Montreal Canadiens team was like, oh, like he was sick, we're going to support him. This is for Claude. We're going to go and win the game. So like it's a little different in my opinion, or like just the way they approach the situation. I think I would have just let Claude finish off the season and see how it, because teams are have hot starts and cold starts. And like Kyle said, this division's goaltending is by far average. And so I say you wait for Carey Price or Jake Allen to get hot, and then it's going to change. Like I don't know. Like I think the mindset of the organization just doesn't make sense. And Bergevin, just let's light another lamp under him, because he's next. And if he's not, then I'll be like, then there's something going on in Montreal land.
There's some underhanded deals being made if he's still there.
Yeah, it's like, I'm French, you guys can't fire me. It's like, okay, but there's a bunch of bilingual people you can get. Anyway, that's a different story.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to look at some of the stats for Montreal. At home, they're awful. At the Bell Center, they're 3-5-0 on the season.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of those wins were barely sneak out wins. Like they don't play well at home. But they're 6-1-4 on the road. So they were almost able to win 10 out of their 11 games on the road because 4 of them went to overtime or shootout, which means they were in all of those games.
Yep.
Maybe they just need a streak of away games or something. At this
They need
point,
to play Vancouver like 6 times more, and
they can't play Ottawa though. That's the problem. They are not good against Ottawa. In their last 4 games, they've lost 3 of them. 2 of them were in overtime, but they've lost 3 out of the last 4 games against Ottawa. Now,
well, it's because Ottawa's become that team that's pesky to play now. They've kind of
Ottawa's playing very well right now too. Let's not.
They've kind of, honestly, for lack of better words, they've figured their shit out basically.
Yeah.
On how to be like a pesky team. They're not going to be a good team. They're not a good team straight up, but they'll be a pesky team that will fight and be that thorn in your side and just, make you win a game 4-3 or make you win a game 2-1 in overtime or whatever it may be. They're going to make it a pain in the ass for you, really, is what it's going to be. And, Montreal and the Leafs both have problems with that type of thing. So it's nice to see because it's a change of pace from them getting smacked 8-1 or 7-1 or whatever.
Smacked around the first 10 games of the year.
and like Montreal got off to a 7-1-2 start. And they've won 2 out of their last 8. So I think it also a combination is the shortened season too. I think Bergeron mentioned that one of the reasons was they needed a new voice and it was the shortened season. So it's like, if he's going to make a move, now's the time to do it.
Yeah. Because we're just over a quarter of the way through the year. Like a normal year, we're 20, 23 games in at the quarter mark. The quarter mark in this season is 16 or 18 games or something. We're past that. We are well past that.
Yeah, there's a lot of teams that are well past that. Like there's some obviously like the Colorado's division that just kind of shut down for about a week and a half. So
yeah,
like they're a little bit behind.
They're just at the quarter mark pretty much.
But like you look at the North Division, like some of the Leafs have 22 games, Oilers are like 23 games, I think, or something like that. And it's like
Leafs are 21, Oilers are 22, Vancouver's 24.
Yeah. So it's like they're well on their way.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting rest of the season for Montreal because right now they have Dominique Ducharme as the interim head coach. He's obviously French speaking. Does he become full time if they do well, or is he truly just an interim coach?
If he does well with the youngsters, I think he'll keep him around just because of that pedigree of him, coaching the juniors and coaching junior teams. I think maybe if they're looking towards the future, because they have some up and coming talent and they have some good young players. So I think if you're looking for a voice that's good with the young kids, then I think Dominique Deschamps makes sense. But if they're looking for someone for the long run, I don't know. You got to speak French. That's on your resume.
Yeah, that's the problem, is that they will only hire a bilingual coach, right? So that limits the pool. It's not necessarily a problem. I shouldn't say it that way, but it limits the pool, right?
Yeah.
And listen, I'm all for the French-speaking coach in Montreal. I have no problem with it. But when you've had 2 coaches go flip-flop back and forth for the last bunch of years, there's a problem in that situation.
Yeah, and you haven't won shit since. Yeah, there might be a problem.
Do they consider Patrick Waugh as a coach? I mean, he has experience in Colorado. He speaks French. I'm just saying. It could be.
Would Patrick Waugh want to go there?
No, that's the thing. Waugh won't want to coach in Montreal after everything that happened during.
I'm just thinking French here.
I was after the whole Montreal fiasco. Like, you really think he wants to go back there?
He's barely forgiven the organization for that. He's not going to go coach for them.
I do agree he would be a good option, I think, but yeah. I'm interested to see what Ducharme does, because I think, a fresh voice, a young voice in that locker room, there's a chance he does succeed. But what does succeed mean for them? I think that's the biggest question, right? Is it Stanley Cup? I would sure as hell hope not, because that ain't happening.
Not with this squad right now, not as it is.
But playoffs, potentially winning a round, is that success? I would say yes.
Mm-hmm.
I would say winning a round and getting to the division final. Unless they finish 4th and they have to go up against Toronto, like that's a whole totally different beast. Depends on how they finish the season, I think. Right?
To me, I would love a Montreal Toronto division, like divisional series.
I do too.
That would be because it's not going to be as lopsided as you look at the standings. It's not going to be like that. Like,
No, it's going to be close. Yeah.
Close. It's going to be have back-to-back games. It's going to be interesting for sure.
What about how great would these two series be, like possibility wise? Toronto, Ottawa in the first round as the 1-4 if Ottawa sneaks in. Just because Toronto notoriously struggles against Ottawa, that would just be so much fast skating, fun hockey, lots of goals.
Mm-hmm.
And then Montreal, Edmonton, McDavid versus Price.
My ideal would be Toronto, Montreal,
yeah,
Edmonton, Calgary.
Well, yeah, that would be the obvious ideal. I'm just saying, how fun would those two series be?
100%. Like, it'd be like, and honestly, like, you go down to like, you could have a Toronto, Edmonton, but like, to me, like, that's now trending towards the second round of that is kind of how it seems to be going. Matthews, McDavid, that kind of stuff, right? Who steps up for Edmonton to be the goaltender, right? Who's Koskinen or Smith, who ends up being that one, and so on and so forth. I think that really leads to the conversation who's the better team, I think, and that a 7-game series out of that would be definitely one to watch.
Can we also take in the fact that I don't know if anyone would have said this before the season, Toronto might have the best defensive structure in the North Division?
Yeah.
That is a very scary thought, considering I think we were all worried about the defensive structure of the Leafs going into the year.
To be honest, out of any year, this was the year I wasn't as worried.
Well, no, but I mean, like, if you were going to question something on the Leafs going into the season, it was the defensive structure, right?
Well,
that was their hole.
I would have said depth is their biggest problem.
Defensive depth, or
no, just depth in general. Because like, I'm sorry, Barabanov, he's looked good the last couple games. There's other people step up.
Yeah.
Jimmy Vesey looks absolutely horrible.
He was good for like 2 games at the beginning of the year, and then
because he was playing on the second line with Tavares. It's like, you kind of should look good for at least the first little bit, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, you don't belong there. Yeah,
you suck.
Yeah. So like, to me, like, bring up Robertson, honestly, give Joey Anderson a chance. That's my biggest thing. But
yeah. No, I agree. But that means they have depth. Like that's where, when you said depth, I was kind of confused. Like, they have players that could step into this lineup. Like,
I mean more like top end depth.
Yeah. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. All right, boys. We're gonna take a quick break. That'll do it for our kickoff segment. Sponsored by Canada Kicking Academy. If you are looking for year-round professional development with elite competition, you need to train with the Canada Kicking Academy. Visit them at CanadaKickingAcademy.com or follow them on Instagram at Canada Kicking Academy. We will take a quick break and we'll continue our NHL conversation right after this.
Hey guys, I'm Gabe Ferraro.
And I'm Logan Lockhart from Between the Uprights on the Garage Door Sports Network.
We cover everything football, from NFL, CFL, and all off-season storylines. We make our weekly picks during the season and cover every headline in the off-season.
Check us out on the shows tab at GarageDoorSports.com for our weekly episodes.
We are back. Boys, let's continue talking some NHL here, and 2 stories kind of coming out of the state of New York, and I will throw it out to you guys where you want to start. Are we talking Sabres first, or are we talking Rangers?
Rangers.
Let's go Rangers. All right, so story comes out last weekend. Artemi Panarin is stepping away from the team. Now, we could talk about this one until we're blue in the face, but there's still so much information that we don't know, so I'm going to cover it briefly, and we'll move on to more of the implications of it. But basically, there is a story coming out of Russia that he assaulted a young girl when he was playing there in 2011. It was 10 years ago, right? Yeah, okay. From his former coach. Now, this coach is notoriously pro-Putin, and Panarin has voiced his support for the opposition. So there's some stories coming out that it might be just because he was anti-Putin that this story came out. It looks like all of his former teammates don't believe it's true. He has decided to step away from the team to help protect his family and to try to get focus off. we could talk about that. We're actually going to talk about the implications of this on the Rangers and their season as a whole. Now, before he stepped away, the Rangers were struggling. They were not playing well. They're at the bottom of their division. I think a couple points up at that point, if any, on the Devils, who are also awful, and the Sabres. Since then, they have won 3 games and are playing decently well. I am wondering now, do you guys think that this was the kickstart to the Rangers finding an identity in that Eastern division? Irfan, I'm going to start with you. Do you think that's the case?
I mean, I think it's all hands on deck at the moment because you just realized that you lost someone who can get you 60 plus points a season or more, right? So I like the fact that this team is young. Like we've mentioned it multiple times. This is a young team with some experience, a little bit of experience here and there. But I like the fact that they've done this all hands on deck. It's like, Lafreniere realizes that, all right, we've lost our best player and he's going out to play better games. Like he had a good pass last night for that one of the Ranger goals. And then the goaltending is like, okay, well, we might not be able to score 4 goals a game now. So let's dial it down and let's play let me try and make a bigger save now. Let me try and put myself out there. So I think they're realizing, like I said, that they just don't have that scoring touch. And without one of your leaders and voices in the locker room, it's like, we got to play what the Sens are doing is like try and be pesky and try and just play a game and then see if you can come out on top. And they've come out on top in 3 straight games.
The 3 of 4. They lost one.
3 of 4. Yeah.
But yeah, Kyle, do you agree with Irfan? Is this all hands on deck mentality the reason that they're playing well, or is it something else?
Yeah, I think it is. I think it's one of those, they're probably supporting their teammate, obviously, and they're just like, hey, let's go play hockey, let's do our thing. The best thing for us is to keep a winning tradition rate going and keep playing the best hockey we can to not distract anything from the team, right? They've already had a couple distractions, obviously, D'Angelo earlier in the year, and then you have this thing. So like their team's kind of a shit show if you really want to talk about it. But also the big key for them right now is goaltending stepping up. That's the biggest key, right? Mm-hmm. Goaltending in the earlier in the year was absolutely terrible. Shesterkin was terrible. Gourrier was terrible. Now they're both stepping up and, they're making 30 plus saves if they have to, or, they're giving up 1 or 2 goals on like 25 shots, depending on what it is. So it's definitely a benefit there. That was the biggest thing that was missing for sure. I think the next step for them, because they're really not out of the basement of that division. They have 18 games played. They're 2 games from being the bottom, or 2 points from being the bottom. And Buffalo has 1 game in hand on them, and New Jersey has like 3 or 4 because New Jersey just didn't play at all. Basically,
they have 3 games in hand.
Yeah, that helps. So it's one of those, like, to me, the next step is Zibanejad has to start scoring.
Yeah,
and I think that's their next step is who steps in for Panarin right now. It's a collective effort, but I think one person has to kind of separate from the pack and be that leader.
And you know what? It possibly could be Zibby, right? But what if it's Lafreniere? What if this is Lafreniere's, this is what kickstarts him? Okay, we need somebody to step up. Here's your shot, kid. Like, take it and run with it, because we think this is the kind of player that you're going to turn into. They want him to be a top line player. Well, top line role just opened up. Prove that you deserve it. Take it. I know it's your rookie season, so they're not expecting him to light the world on fire, right? But go prove that you belong on the top line, play some really good games. And you know what? If they can string a few wins together, right? Let's say Panarin comes back in 3-4 weeks, because he hasn't left the country. Let's make that very clear. It's not like he's going back to Russia.
Yeah, he's living in Connecticut right now.
Right? He's living with his family in Connecticut, but they just wanted to get away from the spotlight and just protect each other at that point. Like there was death threats on his life coming from Russia. So he's protecting his family. 3-4 weeks from now, if everything kind of settles down and they get things sorted out, he comes back. They've won a few games and they're actually in a playoff hunt. You know he's going to come back hungry.
100%.
Another weapon you're adding to a team that's on fire. Like, that's the mentality that they must be having right now. And after everything that they've gone through this year with the whole Tony DeAngelo saga, as you mentioned, Kyle, That was a mess. And that messed up the team. Let's make that very clear. That messed up the team because that's a mental thing that you don't want in the locker room.
Absolutely.
To go from that to this, where one of your best players who wants to play and wants to be there has to take a step away from the team. You know, those guys are like, okay, we're going to play. We're going to try to get as many wins as possible until this guy comes back. And then when he comes back, we're going to keep winning. Like that has to be the mentality that you have right now.
Absolutely.
And you know what? Maybe that's why Georgiev's playing a little bit better the last couple of weeks because it's Georgiev and Panarin were pretty close by the sounds of it in that locker room. That helps. That helps a goalie mentally 100%. If they have a reason to play a little bit better, like
absolutely,
they're going to. Let's flip over to the other New York State team here. And the Buffalo Sabres are doing Buffalo Sabre-like things again. The Jeff Skinner story is kind of just comedy at this point, boys. Irfan, you look a little bored with it, but I mean, it's just hilarious.
No. I'm just saying we call this like they paid him too much money. He just had one show me season, and he's just back to not playing well. And I mean that also comes down to Taylor Hall also not playing well, and just not getting points. And like Buffalo was supposed to trend the other way, not just decide to stay in the basement and hope for a first round pick. That's just not going to help them. They just need to move in a different direction, especially when you've tossed so much money to young players or players that you think are going to be there. And I think the Buffalo Sabres just need to figure their shit out. And I mean, we say this every year, but like we always have positive hopes for them because it's like, well, this is the year that they could have at least fought for a playoff spot because we thought, Pittsburgh's on the downward trend. The Devils weren't going to be good. We didn't know what to expect from the Isles. And now you just have, Sabres going, well, we'll take the last place spot because we like it down here. Like that's just what it seems like right now.
This is safe. We like it here.
This is safe. We might get a top 3 pick. Okay. That might be a bust. We don't know.
Well, but especially with the juniors not playing, who knows what's going to happen with the top picks, right? Like, what's going to happen with that? But
this was also hold on. Out of every year for this pandemic to affect the draft, this is probably the one draft that's going to be the most affected by it. Because did anyone have any idea who the number 1 overall pick going into this year was going to be?
Nope.
No. Which is probably a good thing for draft purposes.
It's also because Bob McKenzie retired too. That's a whole other thing. But
well, he wasn't the prospect guy. It's Craig Buttons. Craig Buttons, the prospect guy.
Yeah, I don't trust a word Craig Buttons says. But I'm just saying. The story.
Bob McKenzie doesn't put out his draft thing until like a week and a half before.
Yeah, and it's usually the one that you trust.
It's the one you trust. No, I agree. But I'm saying,
he usually hits 22 out of 30 prospects.
I know, but what I'm saying is like we normally know who the first overall pick is in advance, or at least the top 2. We know who the top 2 is. Think about like all the way back, Tyler Taylor. McDavid, Eichel, Matthews, Laine. Even last year it was Lafreniere and Byfield. Like we knew who the top 2 picks were going to be. Stützle kind of snuck in and almost pipped that second spot, but he ended up going 3rd anyway. We know who the top picks are going to be. Do you know who the top pick is going to be this year? Or the top 2 or top 3? Like off the top of my head, I don't. I know there's the one kid from I think it's the Czech Republic who did really well in the World Juniors, but I think
this is the year where first round picks are just going to get tossed around like gumballs because it's like, we don't know what's going to happen. So here, take a first. It's valuable.
Yeah. To be honest, a lot of the players that are going to get drafted are going to be either U.S. college or U.S. development or overseas because scouts can actually watch them play. They can see what's going on, and a lot of the Canadian kids could suffer because of that because, yes, they have talent, but who knows if they're going to develop or what's going to go on. They've lost a year of their now development, like so on and so forth, right? So it's going to be that thing. But going back to Buffalo, the top guys, the defenseman from Michigan, by the way, is Owen Power, I think is what his name is. He's like a 6'4", like stud of a defenseman, basically. Right.
Hey, Buffalo needs defense. Okay, sorry.
Well, Buffalo needs everything, Irfan.
So actually, that leads perfectly into my point. Jeff Skinner has 1 point on the season.
Yep, in 14 games.
Jack Eichel has 2 goals total.
That surprises me a little bit.
And Taylor Hall has 1 goal total.
Yeah. So I said last week, You're
paying them a combined, just to do math,
Do you need me to do your math there?
$26+ million.
Yeah.
Right. They're paying him $26+ million to score 3 goals, and that's it between 3 players.
Yeah, divided by 3. There you go. $8 million per goal. We're on a track.
Yeah, I was gonna say that they're chilling. You're good. Right?
Yeah, but the one difference between the 3 of them is that Hall and Eichel are playing 18 to 22 minutes per game, and Skinner at the end of his little run there was playing 7.
Mm.
Yeah,
Now,
fair.
did he deserve 7? Probably, the way he was playing.
Mhm.
But is he good? I thought what they were going to do at the beginning of the season was they were going to put Hall and Eichel together on the top line, and they were going to have Skinner and Stahl on the second line and bring them back to their Carolina days where they had success together because they knew each other.
Right.
They didn't. They started Skinner on the fourth line,
Mm-hmm.
which right there, there's going to be problems because the fourth line gets out 6 or 7 minutes a game,
100%.
right? That's not really fair to him. If you want him to be a goal scorer, you can't put him on the fourth line.
No, but at the same time, you can't justify putting him on the first line if he's not producing.
I'm not saying he should have been first line. I'm saying you put him with someone who makes him comfortable, which would have been Stahl because they have the history of being on the same line together.
Fair.
I think Buffalo didn't handle the situation well and didn't give this guy the right opportunities to try to succeed this year. Now, has he done well with what he's been given? Absolutely not. He's played terrible this year. He doesn't deserve the top line minutes, and he doesn't really deserve second line minutes the way he's been playing.
Mm-hmm.
But had he started on the second line with Stahl, we're probably having a different conversation right now. I'm not saying he's lighting the world on fire, but we're having a different conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the Sabres in and of itself have just messed up this whole situation from the get-go this year. And maybe it's because Kruger doesn't like Skinner. There might be a conflict.
Kruger said he doesn't have a doghouse. I don't know what you're saying, man.
I didn't say he was a doghouse. I said he just doesn't like him.
A coach playing favorites? No.
Oh, that happens? I didn't know that.
It could just be that, right? And I don't know what it is, and I don't know how to. We're obviously not inside the locker room, so we can't say, but that could be the issue. And
100%.
at that point, then you need to move him. No one's going to take him for the money, so you're either going to have to eat or take a crappy contract back.
Mm-hmm.
And that's your only situation at this point because Skinner probably is good enough to play on an NHL team. Can we agree with that? He's probably good enough to play on an NHL team.
Correct.
Yes.
So he should be playing in some capacity, but he won't be playing in Buffalo. It won't happen.
Biggest problem, $9 million.
No, I agree. The contract is awful, and it's not going to get moved straight up. You're going to either have to take a crappy contract back, or you're going to have to give up prospects with him for somebody to take him.
Pretty much.
That's the situation, and they put.
There's always a team. There's always a team looking to get to the floor. So I mean, you can always dangle it there. But again, you're gonna have to toss in those picks and prospects.
So I would agree with that, but the biggest problem is term. That's the biggest problem.
Yep.
Right, because he has 4 or 5 more years at $9 million. Right, so it's yes, a bad team taking on a contract, yes, but usually that's for 1 or 2 years.
He has 6 left.
Okay, so 6 years left at $9 million. If I'm a team, I don't know how I can justify doing that. And even then, a lot of the teams still won't take him, even if Buffalo retains half.
Yeah.
And you're retaining half, that's $4.5 million. Can you imagine the Phil Kessel thing, with the Leafs, right? They retained $1.2 million for God knows how long.
This is the last year, right?
I think either this year or next year, one or the other. But either way, can you imagine $4.5 million if we had to retain half the money on him just to get him out the door? Buffalo's screwed for years to come. That's the biggest problem.
But we knew that when they signed the contract. This was a conversation you and me had, Kyle.
Well, to be honest, it was one of those. I was hoping that he would be the goal scorer that Eichel needed, right? Have him on the wing, Pot. I wasn't expecting him to put 40 goals in the net. That was just excessive. But 25 to 30, 100%. I could have seen that easily. But
he's a notorious 20-goal scorer. Let's not forget when he was in Carolina, he actually put up a couple seasons where he had 20 goals.
Right.
But he was also hurt a lot in Carolina. He could have been an easy 20 to 30 goal scorer every year but there was no need to sign him to a $9 million contract. I guarantee every other contract he was getting offered from other teams was probably in the $5 to $6 million range. Like $9 million was excessive.
Yeah, but Buffalo ends up being that team that always has to overpay to keep anyone to stay with them.
Yeah.
So that plays a massive factor.
It's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So we'll continue to watch this. Maybe he ends up being a buyout candidate at some point.
That's a lot of money to buy out. Damn it.
Yeah, but you only get charged a third of the salary against your cap, and then you pay it out over twice as long as the remainder of the contract. So if it's
no, I get that. I'm just saying that's just a lot of money to pay out.
Yeah, it would be a $3 million cap hit for.
I mean, basically,
if they bought him
on the
out this
bench,
year,
anyways.
Yeah, if they bought him out this year, it'd be a $3 million cap hit for the next 12 years. Like a guaranteed $3 million on your cap hit.
Yeah. We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Anyways, we're gonna take another quick break. After this, we will come back with some soccer talk here on Garage Door Sports.
Hey everyone, this is Irfan Manji from Touchline Thoughts. We are an all-soccer podcast hosted by yours truly with guests every episode. We provide news, analysis, and opinions every episode as well. Touchline Thoughts is powered by the Garage Door Sports Network, and you can listen to us on your favorite podcatcher. Cheers.
Irfan, we're getting into your territory now, my friend. A little footy soccer talk, and the big conversation right now, Champs League and Europa League, my man. And we had the Champions League first legs of the round of 16 the last 2 weeks. Some very interesting matches. I know you talked about it with Josh on the last episode of Touchline Thoughts, which is really cool. But Europa League also had their round of 16 or 32. I always get this wrong.
16 draws, 32 was. Yeah.
The round of 16 draw happened this past week, so we know who everyone's playing. Let's start with Champions League, though. Let's get to the results from leg one, and I'll let you run the show here, my friend. Go for it.
Sure. Do we want to go back from last week?
Yeah, we might as well.
The 16th.
Yeah, let's do that. All right. So PSG won 4-1 over Barcelona. Liverpool beat Leipzig 2-0. On the next day, Porto beat Juve 2-1. Borussia Dortmund beat Sevilla 3-2. Like, any surprises, boys, out of that one?
Potentially Porto, but
yeah, Porto would be the only one that would be the surprise. And you went backwards. You went Wednesday to Tuesday. Come on, man.
Did I? Oh, my bad. I thought I went Tuesday. I thought I went Tuesday. I went Tuesday, Wednesday.
I'm looking at the second legs. They flipped the days. That's my fault.
No. Okay. And this past week, Atletico Madrid lost 1-0 to Chelsea, and Bayern thumped Lazio 4-1. And then the next and the last day, Real Madrid beat a 10-man Atalanta 1-0, and Man City just absolutely dominated the entire game against Gladbach. So that's the first legs. Yeah.
And I think the big surprise on those second set of games was the Chelsea game, but at the same time, you could also say Real Madrid winning 1-0 was a bit of a surprise. I actually thought they didn't deserve to win that game.
Well, yeah, especially when there's a red card in the 17th minute and they score in the 86th minute to win 1-0. Like, that's.
Listen, the way it looked was they wanted that 0-0 draw going back home, which is like ridiculous. The more away goals you get, the easier your tie at home will be. I don't know. Real Madrid's just a mess. They just don't look good. Every player that's left their club on loan or been bought out has played better than they did for their parent club. So that team's on a decline, and so is Barcelona. So, I mean, that PSG Barcelona game was ridiculous as well.
Yeah, that was an unfortunate draw, though, for Barca, I think. I think if they had gone up against a Lazio or somebody else, they might have had an easier time, but they got one of the top probably 3 teams in the world right now, the way they're playing, and, and it showed, right? So it's not a surprise to me.
They're healthy.
They're healthy. Yeah, that too.
That's the biggest thing. It's like PSG before, like when they were in the Man U group, right? We were talking about them. The reason why they weren't doing better is because they literally had like half their team was injured.
Yeah.
So and now that they're healthy, they're showing who they truly can be. And
I mean, they're still without Neymar. They're still without Neymar and Di Maria, so they're not 100% healthy. They just have young guys
They're
like
healthier.
Mbappe and Moises Keane.
Yeah,
They're healthier. Yeah.
Imagine when they get to full health. Like,
I think they'll do worse, in my opinion. I think I really like Moises
Too
Keane.
many cooks in the kitchen, sort of thing.
Yeah, I think that's what's gonna happen. Is you're gonna have obligation to play Neymar and Di Maria, and they're gonna fall flat at times, and then you're like, well, Moises Keane should be starting this game because he can actually counter attack whatever team they're playing. So, I think the team that's set right now, especially with the way Poch is coaching, I think that's probably the best team we're gonna see from PSG. As a group, as a collective group. I mean, that's probably in the minority of decisions, but I think Neymar and Di Maria sway the dynamics of that team. That game was good for them.
And to be honest, it's kind of just unfortunate for Barca that they're matching up with this team right now. That's honestly just straight up how it is.
No.
Right. I actually don't think Barca is playing that bad in the Spanish league right now. I think they're actually playing pretty well, but you come up against a top team in Champions League. It's like, oh, okay, that's what it felt like for years for other teams.
Yeah.
The Chelsea game was also one that I wanted to talk about. New coach comes in and he's doing pretty well. Thomas Tuchel, however you pronounce his name. I always never.
Great goal by Giroud. Oh my lord, what a finish!
And to be honest, it was that was a game where Chelsea seemed like, as you said, like with Real, they were going for the draw on the road. Like that's
a totally different scenario.
Yeah.
Chelsea was the underdog in this game. Like underdogs are supposed to go for the draw.
Oh, 100%.
Real wasn't supposed to be the underdog against Lazio, and they were going for a draw.
What wasn't it? Was Atletico not missing people?
They looked fine.
They had most of their lineup.
They had their players that they usually rely on anyways that were playing. It's just they couldn't break down a defensive structure, which we haven't seen for Chelsea in quite some time. They had a solid defensive structure. Everyone was behind the ball at the right time. Yep. And then they used their counter-attacking speed, and then they finally get an opportunity and they crack the goal. I mean, I'm surprised Atletico Madrid, a team that's been notoriously good defensively, just got out-defensed, if that's the word. They got out-defensed. They did. Well, I thought Chelsea played a better game, even though, you would assume that from Diego Simeone.
Well, and to be honest, it was one of those, Atletico is one of those teams where they're pesky, right? Like they'll beat you defensively and then counterattack, and all of a sudden
what they did to Liverpool last year, exactly.
All of a sudden you're down 1 or 2-0, and it's holy crap, what the hell happened?
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, as you said, it basically got flipped on their head in this game, whereas Chelsea was like, all right, show us what you got, and all of a sudden, all right, and then now we get a ball in the box and Giroud this like a bicycle kick, and it's like, okay, all right, that's how we'll take our goal that way.
Yeah. I think Atletico Madrid doesn't like the ball at their feet because clearly they just couldn't do anything with it. So
I want to see
the Stamford Bridge.
That's what I'm interested to see, that second leg, and see how things change accordingly, right?
Both sides.
Because I think Atletico has to come out more aggressive in the second game. I think. And
you have to, because you're down an away goal at this point.
Well, yeah, but realistically, you get one away goal and just it almost evens out. But you have to be aggressive without sacking. It's obviously the happy medium, being aggressive without sacrificing your defense, because you've clearly seen that Chelsea can counterattack and score quickly. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, Suarez back playing against Chelsea at home. I think that would be interesting as well. I think he likes playing in England. If it ends up in England, I'm not sure if that's what their plan is, but
as long as it doesn't bite anybody, they're fine.
Hey, listen. If he does, it's a win because the bettors will love it.
It's scheduled to be in Stamford. It looks like all the teams are playing at home in England, so we'll see how that plays out. Do you want to switch dynamics now and go to Europa, Irfan, or is there anything else you wanted to mention about champs?
Who from the first few games, who's the best team? Do you guys think has the most realistic chance? No, realistic chance to actually win it all. If you're talking about matchups and whatnot.
I can never discount Bayern, to be honest. I can never.
The top two for me are Bayern, PSG at this point.
Yeah.
Really? You guys would not toss City into that mix?
City's third. Those are the top three. And depending on who shows up on what day, any of those three could win.
In no particular order: Bayern, City, PSG, if I had to, I would probably say PSG is third right now, just because of not being fully healthy. But as Irfan said, being fully healthy may not be best for him. But I would put PSG third for that reason.
I'd probably have Bayern number 1.
Yeah, I mean, they are the defending champs. It's hard to discount them. But I think if you're looking at the matches they've played, City played the most complete game, which is ridiculously scary. But they also
played the easiest competition out of the 3.
Well, Gladbach, yeah. I mean, Gladbach's been great in the Bundesliga, and then
they've been good, but they're still.
Then they came
out
out
of
against.
3,
Yeah, no. I get that. I get what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, Gladbach came out scared, and you can't do that with City. And City was like, "Well, you're scared. We're gonna take you on." So, I'm just talking like match wise, but PSG did definitely have the toughest matchup.
Yeah, PSG had the toughest matchup. Bayern played a great game in their 4-1 away win, and City dominated Mönchengladbach. So yeah, those 3 are gonna be deep runs in the Champions League. I have no doubt about that. And obviously Porto is gonna be the 4th team, right, guys? Obviously.
Of course, their defensive structure was great.
Let's flip gears now, and we'll go to the Europa League draw of for this round of 16. And there's some interesting matchups. I'm gonna read them all out. Each of you pick one that you want to talk about, and we'll go from there. But starting off, we got Ajax versus Young Boys, Dynamo Kiev versus Villarreal, Roma versus Shakhtar Donetsk, Olympiacos versus Arsenal, Dinamo Zagreb versus Tottenham, Man United versus Milan, Slavia Praha versus Rangers, and Granada versus Mulde. Irfan, pick one. What are we talking about here, my friend?
I'm very curious with that Slavia Prague and Rangers matchup, just because I think it's completely off the board, but it's because I think Steven Gerrard's Rangers have been ridiculously great this season. Like it was like a random stat that I read, it was like 40 plus wins in the last 50 games. Like, it's crazy. The issue though is that defensive structure against Antwerp was bad. They were leaky in the back end. Obviously we knew they could score because it's Gerrard's creativity really forming into this team, but now you're playing a Slavia Prague team that took Leicester, I believe it was Leicester, right? 0-0, then comes back to the King Power Stadium and scores 2 big goals. So I think Rangers will have to find a way to score and keep the ball out. Like, I mean, that's just the model for everybody, but I'm just curious to see if Rangers can keep the ball out of their net, because you can't trade goals with this Slavia team.
Yeah, no, I think you're right, and it was Leicester. Just to confirm, you were correct. And if they decide to play a defensive game, which I'm going to assume is not Gerrard's specialty, especially in that Scottish league, because they don't have to play defensive because they're good offensively in the league, that they don't need it.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to struggle against a super defensive counterattacking team in Slavia.
Yep.
They know their system. They know what they got to do. So they're going to take it and run with it.
Of course. Like, you're going to get guys like Kent, and I mean, Defoe's still there. You're going to get guys that can score, but it's comes down to that defense with Dixon or Davis or whatnot, and just really trying to figure it out if they can actually stay. Oh, not defense. That was Hallander. Sorry, is who I meant. But we'll see.
Yeah, sounds about right. Kyle, matchup you want to talk about, my friend?
Yeah, to be honest, I'm glad Irfan didn't say it, because I thought he was going to immediately go there. Man U, AC Milan.
You took mine.
Sucks to suck, you know. Don't go last. Not my problem. No, honestly, I'm interested to see, like, leading into my tire fire later on in the show, I guess. But Zlatan comes back and faces his former club. It's honestly, Man U kind of got screwed with who they ended up facing, but
they did.
I honestly think it's going to be just a great matchup, both back and forth, and I expect this to be a lot closer of a matchup than people potentially could think it would end up being. So, AC Milan kind of snuck by in the last round, but they're two heavyweights and they're going up against each other, and it'd be interesting to see. So.
And you mentioned Zlatan going back to play against his former squad in United, where I don't think there's any hard feelings either way. So it'll be interesting for sure.
He's gonna score.
Of course, he's gonna score. It's Zlatan. He's gonna score at least 1 goal in the 2 games.
He's gonna eat Maguire for dinner. I guess the game's at lunch, so he's gonna eat them at for lunch. Like it's just
Like,
ridiculous.
He's played 4 games and hasn't scored yet. So
I know, but he's going up against United, so he's.
oh, I know. It 100%. It equals he's going to score, and who knows? He might put on
the
like
money down now.
He might put a show on. To be honest, like he might just straight
could,
up
yeah.
like have like multiple goals potentially too.
It depends on how United play. Like I think United have the ability to shut down this AC Milan team, just with ball position, but they don't play that game very often. Most of the time, United is a counter-attacking team, which is fine. There's absolutely nothing wrong with being a counter-attacking team.
Yep.
If you're good defensively.
Mm.
United is inconsistent defensively, so trying to be a counter-attacking team doesn't always work. But we'll find out. We'll see how that plays out. A couple other matchups that are notable. Ajax versus Young Boys will be a fun matchup for sure. And the other one that I want to talk about is Roma Shakhtar. 2 Champions League caliber teams that fell out of Champions League. Shakhtar was obviously in that group with United in the Champions League round robin. They fell out because they were with Mönchengladbach, PSG, and Shakhtar all in the same group. Irfan, don't look at me like that.
Are you talking Champions League or
Champions League? Yeah, Champions League.
Champions League? Oh, you said United. I thought did you mean City?
No, they were in the United group.
United had PSG, Young
PSG.
Boys.
No,
PSG,
Young Boys,
Leipzig.
Young Boys?
Sorry, PSG, Leipzig, and
No. It was
We're talking
Yeah, it was Shakhtar, Mönchengladbach.
No, not in Champions League. Champions League, they had PSG, Leipzig,
PSG. No, Mönchengladbach was with PSG, United, and Shakhtar.
No, it was Leipzig.
It was Leipzig.
Leipzig and PSG, and
Why
then
the hell did I think it was
team was
Shakhtar?
the fourth
I
team was
don't know.
Istanbul Besiktas, whatever that team was with Demba Ba in it.
The hell am I thinking of?
Dude, you're missing like 4 years in one. But Shakhtar, yes, is a consistent Champions League performer. Yes, we'll go back to that. There you go.
All right, I'm going to reset here. But Shakhtar's been playing really, really well as well. In their league, going into this round of 32, they played really well. They're coming into their own. Canadian boy out there. I know I got this right. Kyle Laren's been playing great for Shakhtar right now. Like, unbelievable. Trying to earn a spot on the Canadian national team and doing a damn good job of it at the moment. He wants to play alongside Jonathan David and Alphonso Davies. So we'll see how that all plays out. That'll do it, boys. So let's get into our tire fires, and we're going to bring it back, and we're going to have some fun with it. Kyle, as he gets blinded by this,
blinded by the light right now. Like my shutter, like my blinds are closed and it's still coming through. That's just astounding.
Well, you get us started here, my friend, and we'll get you out of the sun as fast as possible.
Yeah, honestly, my tire fire is Zlatan Ibrahimovic. It's a funny segue into that, but basically, with what I'm ripping into is him criticizing LeBron for having a voice when it comes to politics and other aspects other than sports. Essentially, is what it really comes down to, and we have discussed multiple times on this platform that the players are somebody that has to step up, have a voice, say things when things aren't going right or the wrong things are being said. And we've said multiple times, athletes have to be that person, and it has to be high profile athletes. And basically, Zlatan is just a moron for saying this. Just straight up saying like, oh yeah, you shouldn't be in politics. You should stick to what you know. It's like that's not what should happen.
Kind of goes against everything that we've been working for the last couple of years.
Exactly, and it's one of those like athletes are people too. They're not just athletes, and they don't just play sports, shut up, and go to the sidelines when they're done. No, like their lives, they're affected too, and it's one of those like they have a stage to make statements on. They shouldn't be more than willing and wanting to do that, and like they shouldn't be criticized for when they make a statement. Like it goes back to like today's society, but nobody should be criticized for a statement they make unless it's like way out there. I'm not saying that, but like if a player makes a statement, they shouldn't be like, oh, shut up, go play your game. No.
No, you have the platform for it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah,
So,
and I think what you said there, Kyle, is an important thing. Like, unless the statement is detrimental to people, like that's when people and people in general, but we're talking players right now. That's when they need to really understand, like, you can't make detrimental statements like, we need to attack this building, right? Because the people in it aren't good. That's a detrimental statement. You can't be
100%.
making political statements like that. LeBron James isn't making political statements like that. Cristiano Ronaldo isn't making political statements like that. And Zlatan goes and says stuff like this. It's like, okay, you gotta give your head a shake there, my friend. Understand what they're saying. It's not politics. It's human.
Well, it's because the conversation deflected from him and went to something else.
Of course.
Yeah, and that's the problem. I think the media needs to know you can't ask Zlatan about anything other than Zlatan or Zlatan's team. Understand that at this point, because you're going to get answers like this.
Pretty much, yeah.
And I mean,
So-
it is.
Yeah. So that's my tire fire. So.
That's your tire fire. That's a good one. It's a good one. Irfan.
I'm going back to, I believe it was last night, OKC versus the Atlanta Hawks in NBA action. Orange and red jerseys. I don't get it. It was really hard to see. The teams are differentiate the teams, which is, I know, but it's just a funny tire fire. I think it's just like, who the hell messed up another clerical error? You know, like,
I know this one.
Yes, Nick. It was the Hawks. Yeah, the Hawks didn't bring a second set of jerseys, which you would assume they would do.
Even better. They said they were wearing a different set of jerseys.
Yeah.
So the Hawks had a different set of jerseys on their schedule that they were supposed to wear. They didn't bring them. They wore their reds and forgot to bring another set of jerseys on the road. So they didn't have a second set to change into, which is normally what the away team is supposed to do.
How do you forget?
I'm glad the Thunder.
Right? How do you forget a second set of jerseys?
Especially with COVID and everything. Yeah, no, I'm glad the Thunder came out with a statement and said it was the Hawks wearing the incorrect uniform color.
Well, I think the Hawks even said, "Yeah, we fucked up." Like,
yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, it was a funny tire fire.
You can't do that.
It's because the home team chooses first, right? So OKC's like, yeah, we're wearing orange, like, and then Hawks are like, yeah, we're wearing red. We're like, wait.
Well, no, they said they were wearing something else.
Yeah, and then it's
and then they forgot.
But 100%, that is a huge tire fire. 100%.
And even better, that it forced the Thunder to switch jerseys at halftime. Have you ever seen a team switch jerseys in the middle of a game?
I mean, we've seen it once or twice, but not for this reason.
Like the whole team switched jerseys, not a player.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
No.
They had to come out in their white jerseys in the second half. Like,
Anyway,
how messed up is that? And
the whites
also,
are nice though.
how great of a highlight pack would that be, and how confusing to people who didn't know the story?
Oh, 100%.
You're watching,
wait, is
you're
it
watching the
2
highlights.
games?
The person doesn't mention anything.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, the team comes out and they're wearing a different
Game 2.
It's just two different games.
It's just like, wait, what? What's going on here?
Oh, just classic. Gotta love stuff like that. That's a good tire fire. That's a comedy tire fire at this point. Like, I don't know if it's gonna win, but it's pretty funny or fun.
Yeah. We've always had serious ones. So I thought I'd have a nice light mood.
I mean, not always, but most of the time they're pretty
most
serious.
of the time we have a serious one. Yeah.
All right, I'm going back to something we've already talked about, so I don't have to say a whole lot about it. But the whole Jeff Skinner thing in Buffalo is a tire fire, and a well-deserved tire fire. It's a mess. They got the fact that he's been scratched for 3 games, and it will probably continue until unless Eichel is actually out for the next couple games, which we don't know yet. If Eichel's out, he probably draws back into the lineup.
Yeah.
Reluctantly, of course, but he probably has to be the one who draws back into the lineup. Just a mess of a situation. He got signed for too much. Now won't play. They got to figure that out.
The Jeff Skinner Saga.
I like the word saga apparently because I called it the D'Angelo saga. Now it's the Jeff Skinner saga.
Well, I mean, it's a long story, and it's a story. It's a story.
It's a story for sure. All right, boys. Final thoughts for the week. Irfan, we'll start with you on this one.
Have a good week. I don't know. Sorry, I wasn't expecting me to go first.
All right, we'll come back to Irfan. Apparently,
no. Have a good week, everyone. Stay safe. Good luck to everyone who's hitting the last grind of their school or work just before the spring kind of kicks in. So good luck with that, and stay safe.
Kyle, hit it up.
Yeah, everybody enjoy tax season. No.
Tax season.
No, my final thoughts and prayers are with Tiger Woods. Obviously, freak car accident, kind of just like they said nothing was at fault. To me, it seems like kind of like an animal ran across the road type thing, but we'll see.
There has to be something at fault. I think.
Well,
there
they
could
said
be.
they said no drugs, they said no alcohol, so
Yes,
like
but something has to be at fault.
Oh, 100%. And like it could just be like, swerved off the road, fell asleep, who knows who knows what happens. But either way, survived very scary injuries potentially. I don't know if we'll see him back on the golf course anytime soon or even at all, to be honest. But
Yeah, they're talking about it never going to be able to play again. Like that's a possibility.
The amount of surgeries he's had to the spine is it's crazy.
Oh, 100%. And like, the biggest thing is I would love to still see him participate and do something, but
maybe Champions League or Champions Tour.
Yeah. And so thoughts and prayers with him and his family. Hopefully a speedy recovery and everything goes well. But
yeah.
And I think I can't remember who it was. I wish I could give credit for this, but one of the broadcasters probably put it best this week and said, "Listen, thankfully we're not talking about kids who lost their father. Like that could have been the situation. That could have been the scenario that happened after this car crash. We could have been talking about his kids losing their father. Thankfully, we are not. They did not lose their father. He survived. He's going to go through a lot of recovery, but he still is there for them. So that's the best thing that can come out of this situation at this point.
To be honest, it could have been like a Kobe 2.0, which we don't want to talk about it like that, but it
could no, but it could have been. It could have been. That's how close it was.
100%.
And it's scary, but he seems to be in good spirits. He seems to be ready for the recovery. Whether or not we see him in golf again, I don't think it matters at this point. His career has been incredible. He's cemented himself as one of, if not the best golfer to ever play the game. So he doesn't need to come back. If he does, that's great.
100%.
That's bonus on top of the cake at this point.
Yep.
How do I follow that up? Damn. I was going to go on the same lines as Irfan and not go sports related. Right now, college, university students are going through midterms. It's tough, especially in the online world. I know the mental strain is a lot for a lot of people. Just reach out if you need anything. Find help if you are struggling with in a specific class. Ask classmates. Like, use the resources available because school is great, but it is not worth ruining your own mental health over. It really isn't at this point. So be safe, have fun with it, get through them, and enjoy life afterwards. Because let's be honest, no one enjoys midterms.
No, not at all.
Right, Irfan? Mr. School?
Yeah. Like I just TA'd a midterm and we're like, so who's cheating? Like I think that's where everyone's at. So just
Welcome
do your test.
Welcome to online.
Yeah. Oh my God.
Who's
It's like
cheating?
look at this person's eyes. They're moving side to side. It's like, yeah, but that's just their eyes. I don't know what to tell you.
You have to read the screen.
Yeah, I know. Oh God. But yeah, reach out to profs and TAs. I think we all understand where you're at. So yeah,
because you guys have been just as locked up as the students, right?
yeah.
So that'll do it for this week's show. Make sure you follow us at Garage Door Sport on Twitter, at Garage Door Sports on Instagram. If you're looking for us individually, it's at Kyle Vardy, at Irfan Manji, and at Nick McVicker for the three of us. Make sure you follow all our other shows as well. And make sure you check out the website, garagedoorsports.com, for any more information and articles. We're doing our best to get more information out to you as fast as possible. It's tough when you're not paying people. It really is. But we're doing our best. So thank you for following us. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time.